Good afternoon, LinkedIn community. Justin Minott here at the African American Alliance of CDFI CEOs. And now today, you are in for a real treat. It took months to get this star guest on the show. We've been trying to get his assistant to get on the calendar, but we finally have him here, Mr. Lenwood Long Sr., the president and CEO of the African American Alliance of CDFI CEOs. Great to have you here, sir.
Great, Justin. I'm honored to be able to share, even with my shy self. It is my honor and pleasure. Look forward to it.
Well, we'll see how much we can get out of you. Hopefully you're not too shy on the show. I think we'll do just fine. So,
Yeah.
Lenwood, we love starting with journey, and yours is a remarkable one. The path that has led you here to the work at the Alliance. Give us some background of how you ended up in the CDFI industry and then eventually came to start what is now the Alliance.
Yeah, interesting. My journey really started with Black credit unions. I was working with the Rural Economic Development Center in North Carolina, and we had this initiative that was dealing with Black-led CDCs and credit unions, and ended up becoming the founder of the North Carolina Minority Support Center. I was one of the founding members, along with Martin Eakes and a couple other, the dean of the credit union movement at that time was Mr. Gilliam, and certainly I learned a lot about CDFIs from a credit union perspective. And then later on, I was had the privilege of becoming board chair of the North Carolina Minority Support Center, and later transitioned into becoming interim CEO, and in that capacity, sort of retool because at the time we had about 18 credit unions. Transition, fast forward, 2008. Sort of dating myself, but 2008 there were only 2 Black-led CDFIs,
Wow.
credit unions in North Carolina. And so, if your mission was to serve and support Black credit unions, there were none.
not a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and so we repivoted and became a loan fund that focused upon small business lending. And so that constitute again. I was sort of rebrander of that from the North Carolina Minority Support Center to the Support Center, and rebranded to Carolina Small Business Development Fund that stands today, that represent over 11 years of my life, focused upon a statewide loan fund. And we did some great, exciting things and a lot of learnings from that. So here we are today.
Incredible journey. So what about the CDFI industry or the lending industry really drew you in?
Well, I hate to go spiritual on you, but
Oh, try it. I think we're okay.
yeah, part of my passion deals with this ministry of help, and nothing sort of fuel me more than the ability to help people. And not only to help people, but to help them elevate from one state to the next. And I guess from my rural background of deprivation and segregation, to an area and a field that focus upon taking little and making much in the hands of many, intrigued me and gave me passion to say, hey, this is where I need to be, right? Because it fulfilled my ministry inward of helping people in need.
Yes. Yeah, I can tell that this is very aligned with the core of who you are.
Oh, yeah.
Now talk about the formation of the Alliance. How did the Alliance actually come to be? Because there are some great stories and gems, and I feel like every time I hear the story, I get a little bit more. So I want to hear the full version.
Yeah. So I'll make this brief, right, with my shy self. The alliance was an idea I had and shared with a couple others in 2016, and had this meeting, right? High hopes, but dissipated in chaos, right? Was the worst meeting I ever been in. I mean, worst. Is there a word that's greater than worse? Worse?
The most worst.
What? Yeah. But Inez Long, I never forget it. Called me one day, a few months later, and said, "Lenwood, you had a great idea," and Inez Long encouraged me, and then we brought Donna Gambrell into it. So the three of us planned this meeting in February of 2018 to be hosted by the Carolina Small Business Development Fund, which I was the CEO at the time. We hosted that meeting down on the night before. And from that meeting, great synergy and great energy around, let's do this. And so it was from the encouragement and a lesson for everybody is that it takes more than one who dreams, right, to help carry a dream forward. So had it not been for Inez Long and Donna Gambrell, who helped fertilize, water, and tend to the creation of the alliance, it may not have happened. It probably wouldn't have happened. And so I credit the two of them to give lift to a great idea and to a great need.
Yeah, it could have easily.
In fact, many may not know this, but I was actually the first chair of the alliance, and now I am chair emeritus of the alliance. So they couldn't get rid of me if they wanted to because they gave me the title.
You got too much power. That's great.
Not power, right? But here's what it is, and that people forget this, right? Is that you always give some honor and recognition to those who have created an idea that may not have sustained its potential at the moment, but has this word, the potential to become something even greater as time within its season allows. And so I appreciate that honor that came in 2019 at OFN conference, where they bestowed upon me this great gift of chairman emeritus with a plaque that I hold in a very special place, not only in my heart, but in my house. So if you walk in my house, one of the things you will see will be this plaque that Calvin Holmes himself helped design and create. That's very special. It has African significance, and the wording are precious. So
I love it. I love it. And an encouragement for everyone who is listening here. I mean, this whole organization that I'm now proud to be a part of could have died in that first meeting where you had the worst meeting of your life presenting this idea, presenting some of these concepts, but you had people that rallied around you. And I just want to encourage people who are listening to this, who have an idea that has potential and maybe it doesn't feel like it's getting traction. Don't quit on it.
Yeah, because there's always an Inez Long and a Donna Gambrell out there to help carry a dream vision forward. Every vision always need vision casters and helpers.
Yes. So now in this first meeting, what about the vision that you were casting and the words that you are all saying really captured the hearts and minds of people? Because you said there was a lot of synergy that was born out of this, and clearly 2 years later, we're sitting here doing incredible work. So what about that grabbed people?
Oh, yeah. See, that first meeting wasn't about Lenwood. It was about this idea that members who were in this meeting was talking about what the potential of Black-led CDFIs could happen coming together.
Right.
An opportunity to change ideas, an opportunity to have mentorship possibility, an opportunity to work together, an opportunity to share even platform. And so this notion that eye has not seen, nor ears have heard, neither has entered into the heart of man, it manifested itself in that meeting because it was what the people were saying. The Black leaders, 21, was talking about the power of collective thoughts and ideas
Right.
of Black folks coming together and dreaming together.
I've heard the quote that there is nothing
That's
more
what happened.
powerful than an idea whose time has come.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like that was, is there's this idea that was ripe.
But more importantly, the people around that table saw the potential and want to be a part of taking something that had potential into that next level.
Wow. Wow. Incredible. So talk about now the vision and mission for those who don't know about the work that we do at the Alliance. Talk about what this is really about.
Oh,
what is the vision of this organization?
I think if you look at the Alliance and you want a snippet of the strategic plan, building capacity, building bridges, building power, not institutional power, power for themselves, it really, for me, the heartbeat of this building capacity, which is, I added another C, building capital for our members, is a part of that building capacity. But if you go in and sort of peep at the theory of change, that there's one that really I live by, and I almost look at it periodically every day, because it talks about economic liberation and freedom. And that line go being unapologetic of wanting the best, not something, not a little bit, but for the best for marginalized Black community and its people. Hey, that's our marching orders. That's what we're all about. Not ourselves.
We're not coming for the crumbs.
Oh yeah. Well, if you work and do it right, you'll get your crown.
Yeah.
But part of getting your crown is being aligned and true to your mission. And what is that mission? That mission is about serving. That our Black-led CDFIs with little underserved, I say, serving the underserved. That's the essence, right? And all this talk about woke, right? Anti-woke and all these and these things that look at the worst in people and drawn on the instinct. In the midst of this moving forward progressive theory and change, Black-led CDFIs on the front line and saying, heck with this nonsense. We out here serving people who are not concerned about debt limit because there's been limits on them all their lives.
Come on.
And our work is about liberating them for a new hope and a brighter. I'm talking about building houses. Yes. I'm talking about first-time housing. I'm talking about building dreams. And one of the mantras we had at Carolina Small Biz was that we are dream catchers, right? You had a dream. We want to catch it for you. Wow. And so every day that a Black-led CDFIs is catching a dream of somebody. So don't get me started, man, with my
No, this is what we're here for. We want all of the tea, all of it, all the smoke. Man. This is beautiful. So you're talking about economic liberation and freedom as a true north, that this is what it's really about. Yeah. Why CDFIs? Why did you choose CDFIs as the vehicle, or why did you see so much potential for Black-led CDFIs to advance this? Because you could have chosen a bunch of different ways to, go after economic liberation. Why Black-led CDFIs?
Well, you have Black CDCs who are doing some amazing things, but I was impressed with the broadness of the work of CDFI. They're not just only in housing. They're
Right.
not just only in small business.
Yeah.
They're not just into commercial real estate. They're not just into credit unions. They represent a holistic approach of serving our community.
Mm.
I'm going to be unapologetic. I'm going to say that it's Black led for a purpose.
Right.
And what's that purpose, you may ask? It's about serving our community, Black and brown communities that have been left behind,
Mm.
left out, and forgotten. And every time you look at any administration that's not about progress, the first thing they want to do is wipe out. And I hear the still voice of Miss Angelo keep saying, "Still we rise," in the
Mm.
midst of the backdrop of that Maya was talking about. Why we still rise, and that's the work of CDFI that captivate me.
Mm.
In the midst of the lack of, in the midst of being elected, in the midst of inequities, we still rise and do this great work.
Yes. And CDFIs, I mean, I don't know of any better organization, boots on the
Oh, yeah.
ground, that has contact, direct contact and representation in the communities,
Oh,
right?
that's true.
I
That's
think
true.
that's the superpower. What do you
Oh,
think
oh
about
yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah. I absolutely agree with that, right? That's where they are. We don't have to create this stuff. We don't have to make up this stuff. We've
Mm.
been there, right? We've
Right.
been working in low income and disadvantaged Black and brown community more than anybody else, right?
Mm.
We don't have to fake it to make it. We are
Right.
making it, right? We are
Right.
doing it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the real deal. I love it. So
Yeah.
where do you see the CDFI industry heading next? What do you think is on the horizon for Black-led CDFIs and how they can step into greater power?
Well, I think one, I think if I had to take a look out, I think one, continue doing the great work they're doing. Never forget that their mantra is about serving
Mhm.
people, not only people, but the underrepresented, Black and
Mhm.
brown communities. I think that's where we've been, right? If you look at Black-led CDFIs and their allies, right? Allies meaning those who are truly mission aligned.
Mhm.
Because everybody is not CDFI is not mission aligned.
Right.
Oh yeah, I said it, and because I think that's the truth.
Mm.
But if you look at Black-led CDFI in the main, it's not about building their organization. It's really about building communities. I say that a lot because I think it's very important.
Right.
If we stay in the mix, right, and that's been the success, right? And the success has been they've been focused upon building communities with housing, small business loan, commercial real estate, whatever. It means that the story they tell is about building people and building communities, right? And this the audience really need to know is that they've been doing it with less resources. That's all I'm saying. Somehow, in some way, don't
Yeah.
know how, but they did it anyway, right?
Mm.
With little, they have done much.
Right.
So
Well, and this has been
that is the history of the work we do.
well, and I think this leans into where we're at now because we're talking about not just having people making a lot with a little, but what does it look like for our communities to be resourced, right? We're great at being resilient. We're
Yeah.
great at making something out of nothing. But I think, the work of the Alliance is about making sure that people actually have the resources. What could we do with more?
Well, that's a great point. And I think that's one of the advocacy principles of the Alliance is that
Right.
we've looked at inequity. If you look at Hope Institute, which by the way is a member of the Alliance, and their policy work, their policy institute rather, say that the gap between minority-led CDFIs is 6 to 1. White CDFIs have $6 more than Black-led and brown-led CDFIs.
Wow.
That's pitiful. That's a shame. And all this talk about diversity, all this talk about post George Floyd, Where did the money go? Short money, not building power, not building continuity or sustainability. In many cases, money went to places where they said they served Black and brown people, but they didn't. But they got the money, and we got peanuts compared to some of the organization. Are we thankful for what we got? Of course we did. But we still raise and shout from the rooftop. That was not enough. That this one stop drop it needs to be discontinued. We need long-term investments in Black-led CDFIs. That's been my argument. In fact, I was talking to a CDFI, I'm sorry, a bank that was looking at merger. And one of my comments was that, look, as you look at community benefit plan, as you look at investing in nonprofit, don't do the one and done, right? Help make your legacy of seeing and knowing that you put multiple year funding.
That's right.
And CDFI and Black-led and brown-led CDFIs, and you watch them grow. What greater legacy can it be than you said that because of our investments, we saw these organizations grow and become sustainable. It's the balance sheet that matter, but more importantly, how do they stay in business beyond this one and done investment that we too often see in Black and brown-led CDFIs?
Right. Well, and I think it goes to the point that, aid, dropping in this one and done, it's good for your PR. It's good for a bunch of things. It has it's a bit sexy, but it doesn't get the job done. We need partnership long term.
Oh, yeah. And this partnership is more than just dollars. It's also, you have talent and resources. And we've been fortunate enough that some banks and some institutions have been creative that have allowed to use some of their talents to help in areas where the CDFIs, not that they didn't have the talent, watch this, not that they didn't have the talent, they didn't have enough talent to expand the kind of thinking in critical areas, whether it's technologies, whether it's marketing communication.
Right.
Again, I want to make the record clear. It's not they didn't have the talent.
Right.
They didn't have enough talent, enough bandwidth.
Right. That's the word. Yep.
Specifically to an area in which could make their competitive advantage to grow stronger and better. And so if you couple more investment, long-term investment with technology and talent, and then Black-led CDFIs can become more competitive. So you look at the racial wealth gap, and the same thing you can say about the capital gap between Black-led CDFIs and white-led CDFIs.
Right.
And people know this, yet still they're not doing anything about it. And I say, what do I say? Shame on you. That's all.
Right. Time to get it done. Well, we're going to come right back to that. I'm going to go to the comment section here, see who's joining us. Isis Pierre from the Alliance. I know this conversation will be filled with gems already. Hopefully we're not disappointed right now. Angela Milton, my colleague in my department here, saying unapologetic. Absolutely. Ricardo Cordu, good to have you here, saying definitely great work. Will Jackson, this is what knowledge and wisdom looks and sounds like. Thank you, Will. And Ricardo, I agree. 3 to 5 year commitments, that should be the conversation. I agree with that. And Glenn Capel, not getting left out or left behind. Yes, thank you. Oh, that's a great comment, worth a read for anybody in there. Whoever else is in here, make sure that you're dropping your name and organization in the chat. This is why we do it on LinkedIn Live, so that we're together having these conversations. Ruvon Walker, good to have you in the digital space as well. I love it. Drop your name in the chat. Drop some comments. Give some amens when the pastor's preaching today, because he said we're going to go have church for this next session. I hope y'all are ready.
Oh, don't get me started.
Oh, man. Okay, so here's where I want to go next. I want to dive deeper into this concept of partnership and allyship. what does it look like to not be a performative ally, but to be a real ally? We talked about long-term partnerships. What are some of the characteristics of people that are really about the work, doing the work, and moving forward?
Yeah, and you know, there was always saying that there's proof in the pudding, right?
Mm,
And so you can tell those who are really about, I'm gonna use this word, authentic partnership.
right.
They're willing to expand their thinking, and more importantly, make long-term commitment.
Mm,
Not to just say that, hey, we 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 have a partnership with the alliance, and that partnership was 1 year, right? Is from year to year, right? What happened to a person if you were dating, right? And I'm always making these crazy analogies. What happened
I
to a
like it.
person,
Let's go for it.
his person you were dating and say, okay, I'm gonna try you for a year, and then get to the next year and say, oh, you all right? I'm gonna try you another year, right?
Right. Make you reapply.
Yeah, yeah. You could be dating. You could be dating until you're dead and gone, right? And you say, oh, we did date, right? And we kept trying, and he was
Right.
getting better and better. But look, here's the real deal. If you really want to be a sustainable partner, and then you're gonna be all in. You're gonna be
Mm,
authentic, and then you're gonna make true investments over a period of time. I'm amazed. I'm amazed at those who like to get on stage at these large organizations and pontificate about the greatness of CDFIs and don't do jack to help black-led CDFIs to grow and scale,
mm,
right? And say you can go to all, and you just pick one out. These large conferences, you'll find the big CDFI banks who doing great work in white-led CDFIs, but you take the alliance, you can't get 10 cents from them, right?
right.
But shame on them, right? Oh yeah, but if we're
Right.
gonna have real partnerships, uh, we're gonna have an extended conversation about what does it take, right, for you to scale and grow.
Mm,
And then watch this. I'm not gonna. I'm not only gonna be able to work with you on a plan of how we're gonna do it, but I'm gonna invite others into the partnership to help you scale and do more than what I can do. Because
right.
let's face it, the large institutions have the power of influence, right? And the power of influence, and if they're really committed to
Mm,
more than show and tell, story and tell, just my name on the roll, if they're committed beyond those three, then they're gonna bring others to the party to make you stronger and better over a sustained period of time. But we can't get that kind of commitment. And I always ask myself why. And let me tell you why. Glad you asked.
I do want to know.
Yeah, the why is simply this: the battle that we've been fighting that kept us behind and kept us under resource is this racism, right? The structural institutional racism. Martin Luther King Jr. said it right years ago that the twin of racial injustice is economic injustice,
Mm,
right? Even Madison Federal 10, they say the most
mm,
venomous cause of factionalism is the unequal distribution of resources.
yes.
And you look at it, what keep us down? Resources. They're afraid to
Mm,
put resources in here because they don't want to see the parity that would come about by true economic justice. Don't give me this story about if I teach you how to fish. Give me some money, right? And I'll
come
buy
on.
my fishing pole, right?
Let me buy my own fishing pole.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is a quote. That
yeah,
is going
yeah.
on
I don't want
there.
a fishing pole. I want a rod,
Right.
where I can reel out.
I love it. I love it. Oh, this is so good. So, okay, and to get to Will Jackson, to your point, I see you hopping in the chat here. How can I get a list of Black CDFIs in California? You can head to the Alliance website and look at our directory there. We do have a few Black-led CDFIs in the California area. Make sure you reach out to them. Got an amen from Mark Atkinson and Will Jackson saying facts. One of the things that I'm seeing in the area of partnership long term is that successful partners seem to be getting into this more community driven or organization driven approach where it's not prescriptive. Here's what the alliance should do, but it's, hey,
Yeah.
you tell me what you want to do because you're the expert, your boots on the ground here. How can we resource that? Have you seen that approach coming out, and what do you think about that?
Yeah, I've seen. Look, truth be told, the alliance, its genesis, is crawling, right? Its beginning was several partners, financial institutions that said, with an idea, right, we're going to invest in you.
Right.
And it was because of the ideas of banks like U.S. Bank and Cresby Foundation and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and others who made a strategic investment. And watch this. They didn't stop at the end when that activity was completed. They said, we believe in the work you do, and we understand it's going to take multiple years of investment to make it happen.
Wow.
And they didn't stop. Against great odds, they kept on investing in our work, and we memorialized those who didn't stop, one and done. But even with a little pushing, right, and a little nudging from me and others, they did it.
Right.
Yeah, but shame on them, right? Shame on them who made a one and done and feel like they've done something. We appreciate that. We hand clap that. We don't applaud. That's
right. They're not getting a plaque.
Applaud, right?
Yeah, they're not getting the plaque on the wall.
Yeah, your name and print that you invested, but the point is, what's the quality of the investment, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I measure quality investment by the length and the size of the investment, right? Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned some of the intangibles too, that organizations are bringing other people to the table or other connections and resources.
That's very important, right? And we had one investor who brought others to the table. We have examples of that, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and it's great. And they came not with one and done, but with multi-year investment. You know, the California Endowment came because somebody else made the introduction. And they looked at the work we did. And watch this word, the potential impact we could make and change within the community, and say that this is a worthwhile investment that ought to be, here's another word, that ought to be magnetic for others to want to be a part of the great work that you're doing, and communities across this state, across the nation, rather.
So now, speaking of potential, let's talk about where things are heading next. There's a lot of activity around the greenhouse gas reduction fund. I know that's a big area of passion. Just launched another fund with the coalition. Talk about that work and where that's all headed.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought up the greenhouse gas reduction fund. $27 billion. And you know, little country guy like me, $27 billion, I can only get beyond $100, right? And so I'm getting excited.
Right, there's a few zeros on there.
You talk about $1 billion, you better hold me down. But look, here's the potential that I'm afraid of, right? What are you afraid of? I'm afraid that Black and brown communities not careful will underestimate and not be aware of the impact of these funds. Of that $27 billion, this administration say on the Justice 40 principle that 40% of those funds ought to go into low income and disadvantaged community. Right. Now, I have a great friend, right, who I disagree with, right? We're not clones, right? He said that low income and disadvantaged doesn't necessarily mean Black. Perhaps not, but most of the time it is Black and brown.
Right.
Disproportionately
so.
Hey, look, not because we asked for that, right?
Right.
Because we were relegated to that by this inequities and these
Mm-hmm.
institutions and barriers. But anyway, the Community Builders of Color Coalition, 16 BIPOC-led organization mostly that aim to position Black and brown communities, low-income and disadvantaged community in this historic moment, in this once-in-a-lifetime, that we will not be overlooked, nor will we be relegated to trickle-down economics.
Right.
Instead, we've said that, look, this moment is greater than one organization. And we'll come together on principle. What's the principle? Of serving low-income and disadvantaged communities to ensure they're not left behind, that they get their fair share of the fund that was intended for them. Beyond that, we're saying that's not the ceiling, that's the floor. 40 is the floor, right? And so from this 16 led organization, national organization, BIPOC, Black and Brown, represent the real deal, represent America, represent Main Street, represent Decade. And my friend Nicole Elam of NBA, the National Bank Association, say we represent centuries, not decade of service in Black and brown community. I love it. And so what we're saying is we don't have to create anything. We don't have to try to make it to fake it. We are doing it. We've done it. And so why not invest in us? We don't have to say we have to find a way to reach low income and disadvantaged community. No, that's who we are. We've done it, been there, done that. The other piece is that we are talking about taking those funds and putting them into the community, not building national organizations that say we've got an empire that never will reach our community. You haven't been there, and so why come to us now and say, come join us? No, we're saying, let us lead for once in a lifetime, right? What the song says, for once in my life, this is our moment. I dare you, don't try to take it from
me. You can't take it.
We created the Justice Climate Fund to be the vehicle by which, through which we would apply to EPA. Economic justice, racial equity, all of those represent inclusion, represented in that fund. And it's designed not to create a national empire, not to create a national fund that will put additional burdens of cost upon our community, but a fund that will have blended capital going to entrepreneurs and households that talk about energy burden. I was reading somewhere that says that 56% of Black Americans say that air pollution is a problem that was caused by white manufacturer putting in pollution in our community. 71% of Latino communities say that climate change is a problem in their community. And so when you look at it, and that's why I'm concerned, because we have a job that all of us need to be doing, is telling our community, get ready for this greenhouse gas reduction fund, and hear how it impacts your community, hear how you can save on your energy costs, and to entrepreneurs, here's how you get ready to make sure your business is aligned such you can be a part of this green economy that would add more resources in our community and begin to deal with the health issues that impact low income and disadvantaged community. And that's why this is very important that we send this message and tell our community, get ready, get ready, get ready, because it's coming.
Absolutely. You know, as you were talking, I was reminded about even some of these phrases that people use, like underrepresented, and it almost feels like these are watered down versions. This is historically excluded, right? Like, this is not just, you happen to be underrepresented at the table. I think, you know, Black and brown communities have been historically excluded from these conversations, and yet it affects our communities disproportionately. The actual impacts of climate injustice affect our communities disproportionately. So what does it look like for people to get ready for this moment and not be left out, to actually, and not just have seats at the table, but to build tables? That's what that's what the coalition is doing.
Oh yeah, and part of about being positioned, right? In order to take advantage of anything, you have to be in position, right, to be ready. And so I think the coalition has positioned itself. And you're right, we have been excluded, but we are saying, the coalition saying, not this time, because what makes we have this principle, right? And the principle is we're stronger together, right? The other piece of that is this cause is greater than one organization.
Yeah.
Right. And the other thing that I say, I borrowed from the movie Drumline, and say that we need to represent as a coalition, one band, one sound, one coalition, one sound. Right. Yeah. And the way we do it is to ensure, why is that? To ensure that our voices are not in the hinterlands, but is steadily focused on Main Street, that we can have impact to ensure that Black household and brown household and indigenous household are equally impacted with the resources made available by the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. And that's why the other piece of this, voices need to say to this administration and to EPA, do the right thing, right? It's good to have a national green bank. I'm not opposed to that. But I am opposed to any one organization getting all those funds and expect trickle down to impact our community. Watch this, in a just way, right? There can be no just transition of climate without equity and inclusion, and without justice, economic justice in this process. Right. And yes, we have to make it known. And I tell folks, don't forget, that we will not have a short memory. You don't do the right thing, and I'm no politician, and I don't want nobody to think I'm saying anything political, but I looked at the calendar, and I guess I saw 24 coming up. I don't know what that means, but I saw it coming up. I'm not a politician. I'm certainly not using LinkedIn to talk about anything. But all I'm saying, I looked at the calendar, and I saw 24. Do the right thing.
Right. And now is the time. This is a historic moment to really catalyze this work. Head into the chat. Angela Milton dropped the Alliance's website in the chat. If you want to head there, that'd be great. Lauds, another one of my colleagues at the Alliance, and preach, Mr. Long. Hilda Kennedy, glad to have you here, one of our members at the Alliance. This is so power-packed. That is who we are. This is the truth. And Glenn, food for thought. Thank you so much. And Angela saying, get ready, get ready, get ready. That's right. Now is the time to do this work. So here's what I want to know, coming back to the work at the Alliance and really bringing this home. Sure. What does it look like for the Alliance to have fulfilled its mission? What is, when you say, hey, the Alliance did what it came to do, what does that future look like?
That's a great question, and let me answer it this way, and very simple. It's ongoing, right? It will never be fulfilled,
right?
You cannot take centuries of neglect, centuries of barriers, centuries of racism, centuries of deprivation, centuries of little, centuries of holding us back, centuries of not being fair, and think that we are anywhere close to equity and equality in America. And so this work is generation laden. We're just setting the pathway. We're just setting the table. That's all. We are table setters, right? For others to come and eat and feast, right? Why? Because we are building a foundation that others can build on.
Right.
I read somewhere, not on a greater work than these, but never forget that we are building on the works of others. right?
Yes.
And never forget that the work we are beginning, we build on someone else's work. We enter into another one labor, right?
Yes.
And if we do this thing right, someone will enter into our labor,
Mm.
and will build upon this and make it stronger and better. And we'll be working to close this evasive wealth gap that have plagued our community for centuries.
Mm. It
Truth
is
be
true.
told, truth be told, truth be told, look at every group that's come to America, whether it's most recently or centuries ago. They've all passed Black America economically. Don't believe it? Look at the latest data and
Mm.
see we're at the bottom.
Right. And
But we
again,
are
not because
climbers.
we asked to be there.
Yeah, right. We are climbers, though, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. And it
All we
is
have to
true.
do is stay on the wall.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
We are standing on the shoulders of giants, and I do believe that, may we be the giants, or at least do our part,
yeah,
that other people can stand on our shoulders.
yeah.
So I want to end with this piece, a word of encouragement from the coach. We let you coach every once in a while at the Alliance. So that's your words, not mine. And I've been resisting calling him the big boss the whole time, but I didn't say it. I just said that I'm resisting what I'm not saying.
Well,
Um, it,
anybody wise, so he just called him the big boss, right? But
yeah.
that's all right. I know I'm the coach, so
So a word of encouragement for people who are engaged in the work of economic justice and liberation and freedom in the Black community and other historically excluded communities. What word of encouragement would you offer those who are engaging in this
sure.
work? Because you're somebody who has been on the long road to freedom.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I my anchor point uh, is Nehemiah building the wall, right?
Mm.
And against all adversity, against unknown, against thinking that the enemy may come at any time. And what was his message? His message was to be prepared, right?
Mm.
And when Sanballat and the other group would call out to say, come down, right?
Yep.
And his answer was, I cannot come down. Why? Why I can't come down? Because this work I must do, right?
Mm.
And then if you move forward, well, there's a saying, and they say that the wall was built to the half thereof. Why? It's said because the people, right, collective, had a will to work. And it is the will that
Mm.
Black-led CDFIs have to stay on the wall, refusing to come down,
Mm.
and to be armed, ready to fight against all injustice, against racism, against inequality, and say it loud. We refuse to come down because what? We know that this work wasn't dependent on us alone, because that word says, and the wall was joined to the half thereof, because the people
Yeah.
had a mind to work. And so collectively, this alliance, we have a mind to work. And let me make this deposit to anybody who's listening. Don't ever let obstacles be in your way to stop you from pursuing your dream. In spite of, you fight like hell to
Mm.
make sure you move in the direction of pursuing your dream. And if you do it with all the fight within you and all the passion within you, you'll be an overcomer.
That's right. I mean, that's the word. Refuse to come down. in spite of all things, refuse to come down. And I love the work that we get to do with the Alliance to provide that peer support for organizations. I mean, it's not easy on the front line doing this work. It's not easy being out there advancing economic liberation, because freedom's something that we have to go take. And so to me, that's one of the superpowers of the Alliance. And I would encourage anybody, a Black-led CDFI, if you're listening or know of somebody who's leading that, make sure that they get in touch with us, or even somebody aspiring to be a lender, Black-led CDFI lender in the space. Make sure that you reach out to us. Now, one last question for you.
Sure.
What is something that you wish you knew at the start of your journey at the Alliance that you now know, if you could go back a few years and coach the coach himself? What would this version of the coach say?
Well, I don't know that there's one specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
What I did learn was this, and I want everybody to hear this, and you hit it early on, is one of my greatest learning was the value of availing yourself to ideas of others to help you achieve your vision, right? Because I don't care what that vision is, you cannot do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And Martin Luther King Jr., because I just love the thing. He said, sometimes I feel discouraged and feel my work is in vain. But then he paused and say, but I heard a still voice telling me to fight on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's that still voice that speaks to us in the midst of disappointment, in the midst of letdown, those who are authentic about being a part of your vision and helping you fulfill it for a greater cause will tell you, fight on.
Right. Fight on. Well, that is it. Thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for your heart. I would encourage all of our listeners, if you found this valuable, share it on your LinkedIn so that we can get the word out and the inspiration out. I think this is important. And thank you for making the time, all of you LinkedIn listeners, to be here with us. Mr. Long, always a pleasure. I learn more every time. So thanks for making time today.
Well, thank you for allowing my shy self to come in and say a few words.
You did all right today. You did. You did. Okay. You came out of your shell just enough. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Bye for now. Keep changing the world, y'all.
All right. Peace out.